farmers are protesting around the Netherlands over the government's new policy, which would see the country slash nitrogen oxide and ammonia emissions by 50%, by 2030. Right. This is in an attempt to go more green. All right. And all of this means they'd have to reduce their livestock numbers. It could force some farms to shut. They have to use less fertilizer in a very short time. And they're saying this demand by the government is totally unfeasible. And what's going to happen is now the government's going to try to buy up all the farms. And it's like a takeover. So they're protesting. They're burning bales of hay. They're kind of doing what the Canadian truckers did in a way and fighting back. And it's somewhat inspirational to see them pushing back on this government overreach where their government's trying to do to them what Joe Biden's kind of doing to us.
Right. Yes. I mean, the Dutch farmers are the new Canadian truckers. These are working class folks who are basically being punished, and they're basically being legislated out of existence by their own government. And for what? I mean, basically, some bureaucrat in Brussels had the bright idea that we're going to cut this type of emission by 50% by 2030. Those are suspiciously round numbers to me. I'd like them to prove why 50% is the number and why 2030 is the number. I mean, these things, it doesn't really make sense, right? They've just kind of picked these numbers arbitrarily out of thin air. And then what happens is the Dutch legislators say, oh, we have to implement this new directive from Brussels. They start confiscating these farms and banning a way of making a living that these farmers have been engaged in for generations. So, it is very similar to what's happened with energy, which is the Europeans adopted a policy towards energy that made them dependent on Russia for their energy because they refused to use nuclear or develop develop their own gas for environmental reasons. They're about to do the same thing with food, which is make themselves dependent on other people's food because they refuse to produce it themselves, even though they have an enormous natural advantage. The Netherlands is actually the number 2 agricultural exporter in the world. So they are very, very good at this. And the Dutch government seems intent on destroying the advantage they have. It's lunacy. And if you want to see where all of this leads, just look at Sri Lanka right now. The Sri Lankan government and society just collapsed. Why? If you go back to April of last year, they banned these same types of chemical fertilizers that the Netherlands wants to restrict. And as a result of that, their agricultural output fell by something like a third this year. And the production of rice, which is one of their main staples, fell by something like 43%. So all of a sudden, people are going hungry. They can't feed themselves. It's a much poorer country, obviously, than the Netherlands. But as a result, the whole society has collapsed. Why do they implement that policy? Well, it's the same types of policies that are being set out of Brussels. It's this environmental extremism that doesn't take into account the needs of ordinary people.
Gathering around the dinner table has been the catalyst for change since the beginning of time. Good things happen at the dinner table. Ronald Reagan once said, all great change in America starts at the dinner table. If we can return to eating meals together as a family, then we can create the conversation and the change we want to see. Maybe it feels overwhelming to get everybody together and then still also make a great meal, but Good Ranchers has got you. They make it easy. Pull out a Good Ranchers package of beef, chicken, seafood, season it with salt and pepper, and then cook it up however you like. It tastes great. Or if you want it pre-marinated, they've got that too. Every box you get is superior quality, flavor, and value. Good Ranchers is a company that supports American agriculture and business. You're already buying meat. Why not support an American company like Good Ranchers? Use my code Megyn to get $30 off your order plus free shipping. Make gatherings at the table easy and fun with Good Ranchers. Go to goodranchers.com/MEGYN to bring your family and friends to the table and eat some seriously delicious food. goodranchers.com/Megyn. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.